Can't tell my tooth is numb, can you? I can feel it, but I feel like I'm talking normal.
The side of your mouth's gonna droop.
It is?
No, but it is a little bit now that I look at it.
Looks like I have Bell's palsy.
A little bit.
Great. Okay. So. Hey everybody, I'm Lee, she's Hannah. We are back to continue telling about our real estate investing journey that we've had over the past, I guess 7 years. We have a lot of people that invest with us, a lot of people that are interested in investing with us. They say, you should know, like, and trust the people you invest with. We're big proponents of that. So this is just a chance for everybody out there that's interested to get to know us and our real estate investing journey. So on the first episode, or part 1, we talked about the flip. It's known notoriously as the flip. And you got to know a little bit of why. It was pretty rough, but it was successful in some ways. We did, make some money off of it. We didn't lose money like Hannah thought we were going to. We didn't end up on the street, right. But it took way too much time. And then, once you sell a flip, it's over. Like, you have no chance to make any more money off that. You have to go do it again. So it's truly just trading time for money, but it did get us started, right? And that's a lot of times, I think most of the time, that's the hardest step. But we had realized, and we felt like God was showing us, hey, this is not, like, I do have you guys getting into real estate, but not into flipping. Mm-hmm. So we were ready to pivot a little bit. And so we were really looking at multifamily.
Well, you were ready to pivot. I was ready to stop. Real estate was done for me.
Yeah, at least for a while.
Let's just do our W-2s. I'm a nurse, you're a physical therapist. Yep. That was fun. Kind of, but let's just be done. We
were worn out, and so you were asking for a break.
Yeah.
So I did. I gave you a break.
Yeah. I asked for a year.
Which was excessive. I think most people would agree. A year would be
3
excessive.
3 months.
3 months is a pretty long time, depending on who you ask. I felt like it was a long time. So we did rest for most of the summer. I was ready to pivot into multifamily, pivot more toward residual income, passive income, continuous income. That's what owning a rental can do for you. And it just happened that eventually I did find a duplex that was going to be going up for auction at the county auction, a sheriff's sale. With your blessing, I did go to bid, at this auction. And I had told you my max bid for this duplex was $90,000. And this time I actually stayed under it by $1,000. A lot of people bidding on it. And actually a guy that had become kind of a mentor to me, Paul, that lives in our town. So he was the one that lasted the longest bidding against me, but for whatever reason, he dropped out. 88,000 was his last bid. I bid 89 and he dropped out and I got it for 89. Pretty soon after, some red flags started popping up, similar to when we took over the flip. The cops called me one day. Somebody broke into your duplex and we arrested them last night. They had OD'd, they were sleeping on a mattress in your unit, in one of your units, and we arrested them and started, kind of told me about a lot of the issues they'd been having at this property. So I was like, okay, great. Wow. Right. That's what we're getting ourselves into.
We have this.
Yes. So on the actual day of takeover, what that cop told me, he said, look, on that day, when you do take over, call us, we'll come out to the property with you. They met me out there. It was good because that unit was still occupied with squatters. And so when the cop and I went in, they opened the door. He's used to this. This was new to us, but he's used to this. So he barges in and said, hey, let's go. It's move out day. Time to move out. So they did not move very fast. I was, cleaning up all day, worked there that whole day. Comes 4 o'clock, actually at 2 o'clock, I see them walking across the street to get a pizza. Come back with a pizza and a 2-liter of Coke. And I'm like, wow, they're really enjoying living it up their last day. Finally, the one guy comes out staggering out. They take him over and just sit him in the grass. So finally, they ended up having to call the ambulance for the kid that was ODing. The other two, finally, they did let me take them. I took them several towns away, about a half an hour away. Very interesting first day. I felt like, hey, hopefully this was our worst day. It's all, it's downhill from here. It wasn't all downhill from there.
Right.
We also kind of figured out we had terrible fleas.
Yeah, I remember you and my dad just going in to check it out, and you guys came out and your socks were covered with these black dots all over, all up and down your legs. And you just kept saying, oh, the gnats are so bad in here. They were not gnats.
No, I had never been around fleas,
I think
really.
It took like 4 treatments of a vacant property to get rid of all of these fleas.
Again, this is a very interesting takeover, and hopefully things start to get better from here.
Yeah.
And so they did. You know, one real breakthrough we had, not only for this property, but kind of in our investing journey, was I had some nice cabinets that I needed to sell. So just put them on Facebook or something. And this guy and girl came out to buy them, and they come out in this beat up green van, and like there were some tools in it. I was like, they're contractors. Like you just know when somebody, and I think they had like some paint or drywall mud on their clothes, and like I've been around construction enough. I'm like, they're contractors. So I just got taught, like, what do you guys do? And they said, oh, we renovate apartment units in Dayton. And I was like, well, how much would you guys charge to paint this whole duplex? I think they said $1,000.
Yeah.
That was dirt cheap. So I'm like, you're hired. Yes. And I'm like, well, what about flooring? They're like, we do flooring too. I said, okay, well, what would you charge for that? And it was like $1,200. I'm like, yep, you're hired. They ended up being great contractors. We really almost kind of became friends with them and really ended up caring about these people. We did have some momentum and some more confidence, I think, that allowed us to hire people, because we could have hired more people in the flip, but we just felt unsure about that because now you're not saving money. So because we had made some money on the flip and rolled into this one, we didn't spend it. I think that's really important. If you want to get a side hustle going, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to save that money that you're making and usually put it back into the business. So that's what we were willing to do with that money. That gave us the confidence to hire more people, which allowed us to not do so much work, which allowed it to be a much better experience. So
way more enjoyable.
So I just kind of did everything else, the odds and ends, and you were out there a lot too with the kids this time. That went a little bit better.
Yeah.
Kids were a little bit older.
A little bit older.
We were able to, with those contractors, they got in flooring, paint, had it gutted, so like new carpet. So you always appreciated that, like, if the kids can come out and be playing in a nice, instead
clean.
of, our kids just loved playing in the closets. So at least like it's nice carpet, the walls are painted, it's clean, fleas are gone. So then we got it turned, and then it was time to lease it. So that's brand new to us. That was scary.
It was really scary.
I think that was something we were both just nervous about, just because
we just didn't know.
Well, we didn't know. Yeah, that was a big, like, what's legal? Like, right? You're getting into like law here. Like, what can you legally do? And it's up to us to come up with a legal lease. And then when these people sign it, like, is it going to hold up? Are they going to hold up their end of the bargain? Or what do we have to do? So that's where your network comes in. That's where Paul, the guy that I outbid for this, like I said, he had a bunch. Even the neighbor that owned the other duplex, he was a huge help, but they both provided me with a lease. Okay, how do we collect rent? And there was a free software actually at the time, website that could be used, that actually you could use to screen the residents, and then they could pay through that. It got less scary as we went along and got it set up. It still felt like, okay, is this really going to work? Like, it works for them, but is it going to work for us? Are we going to mess something up?
Like, do they know we're newbies? Like,
right. Do they know
what they're getting into?
We have no idea what we're doing. Yeah, right. Are we going to provide a good home? After renting a few months, I was ready to sell it. I think you were okay with it because
I was, because it was just stressing me out.
Yeah, it was stressing you out managing it, and then we knew we had created a lot of equity. Like, we knew we would win pretty big if we sold it. So you were like, okay, I don't like managing people, and let's go and sell it.
Well, we had a lot of money out there too.
That's right. Yes, we did roll some money from the flip, but that wasn't near enough. So we used our HELOC again. So this was all cash. I mean, we didn't have a mortgage with anything. This was all our cash. So either you could just refinance, go get a loan and pull your money out with a cash out refinance, or you can sell. So we decided to sell, and actually sold it to Paul, to my mentor, the guy that I bid against, and I outbid him by $1,000 and sold it to him. And so we still laugh about that to this day. And he's become a great friend. He and his wife, and we ended up selling it for $160,000. So just quick simple math on it again. We sold it for $160 minus our right at $90,000 that we purchased it for. We put $25,000 into it. Say another $5,000 in closing costs and whatnot. So we did profit $40,000 off of this one. So another great win for us. And it did feel very different because, yes, the flip, we did win financially. For me, even though I really did enjoy it, it was too much. It got to be too much. It was consuming. It's not what we wanted for our family. The duplex, not so much. I mean, it was like, there was some relief to not be landlords anymore. Right. That's for sure. But it was a pretty good experience, with the work. It was like, no, this this did fit well into our life, and we did kind of enjoy it. So I've talked a lot.
That's okay.
So let's get maybe the good, the bad, and where we saw God in this. Do you want to kick us off with that? Like, what would you say was the good of it? I kind of got into it a little bit, but what would you say was the good of the duplex?
Yeah, I think the good for me, in which I've always used this quote with you from the beginning when it has come to this real estate journey, is the trust equals time plus believable behavior. In order for me to trust you in this, because it goes against everything in me to do something like this, I needed time and I needed some believable behavior. And this was definitely the first glimpse into, okay, maybe real estate in general could give us the life that we want, or the family culture, or just provide us with more of that lifestyle that we were kind of desiring.
This was believable behavior.
Right. Now,
or proof of concept.
Yes, exactly. But as our journey continues, it still took a lot of time and a lot of believable behavior before I truly got on board.
I kept thinking I had you, but I really didn't have you yet.
No, not yet. I think we also learned that location was important to us. Having our properties within our reach, because we do like to be so hands-on with our residents, but the properties themselves too.
Bruce and Kelly, the guy and girl that came out and bought the cabinets and did a ton of the work for us, that was a game changer. We got through the flip and it was like, okay, that didn't feel like what we're looking for, what we feel like God is leading us toward. Yes, it's real estate, but it's transactional. It's trading time for money, and that's not what we're looking for our life, for our family. This felt like more of that. For the few months that it was renovated, it was done, and we had good renters. And every month, the rental income was more than all our expenses. This was more the real estate I was selling you on. This was the dream I was selling you on from the beginning. And we got the flip, and you were like, this isn't that.
This isn't that at all.
Yeah, this was more that. That was the proof of concept. That was believable behavior as well. That was big for us that, okay, I think this is the path God has for us. There was some bad.
There was.
What would you say was the bad?
I mean, personally for me, which I'm going to start off with how this also goes to good. I've said from the beginning that this needed to be, if we're going to do this had to be more than just about the numbers. Because real estate is just a lot of numbers, and there needed to be more mission involved in it. So this was our first time being able to really serve individual people and provide them with really great homes and just be more on mission as a family. Which was really great, but to the bad side of that, I think surprisingly, I brought a lot of emotion into that. And so if it snowed, if it rained, I was always so worried about them because we grew to know them and really enjoy having them as residents. So I probably brought another level of stress outside of even just the duplex itself, especially just because we had just the two families.
And like you said, we didn't keep any distance. Like we were they knew us.
Now that we've gone a little bit of a bigger scale, there's too many people to get super close with. What would you say for the bad? Yeah, another bad for me was scale. So from the very beginning, I always knew, like I like to go big, right? If it's a vacation, I like to go big. Yeah, if it's a Monday, I like to have a big Monday. So I knew I wanted like a big portfolio. I knew like starting with a flip made sense to me. Like it's the smallest thing, and for you, like, hey, let's ease into this, start small, and then okay, let's take a small step for duplex. But for me, I knew I wanted to go bigger, and this confirmed that for me for a couple reasons. One, like just numbers wise. I think if it serves me right, like we did pretty good on this duplex for each unit. Even if you include a mortgage for this, I think we were making clearing $200 a month in profit, pure profit to us per unit. So we're making $400 a month, which is really good for a duplex. I think it'd be hard to buy a duplex today and do that. So we were cash flowing very well. But $400 a month, it's still just $4,800 a year. It's really not enough to go oh, I could quit my job. Not even close. You do 10 of them, okay, $48,000 a year, it's still not enough, right? You really need 20 of them. Okay, now we're at $96,000 a year. Okay, maybe, that's gonna, maybe, at least cover our expenses. I could quit and then go try to make more. But 20 duplexes, I really had no interest in buying 20 duplexes. I did want 40 units, but why not? And again, this is my education. I'm listening to podcasts, reading, talking to people, networking. And I'm like, why not just go buy a 40 unit apartment building, right?
I don't think you were there yet.
No.
So that was the bad of it for me. And not that it was bad, like, it's just part of the process. I still, like, if you're getting started, hey, great, start with a flip, start with the duplex. I think it's a great place to get started, but you may, if you do want scale, if you do want a bigger portfolio, you're going to notice pretty quickly, like, it's hard to get scale with single families and duplexes, even triplexes and quads. So for me, I was ready to move on to the next one,
right,
to the next bigger thing.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I was still kind of in the world of, oh, this is a neat hobby, you know, brings in a little bit of extra money, but definitely not where, okay, this needs to be us quitting our W-2 jobs and going all in.
Right. So we're in a little bit different space again. It's okay. So where did we see God in this one?
Yeah, I think through all of life, God is either teaching you about Him, about each other, or about yourself. And through our real estate journey, we have gotten a heavy dose of all three. And Him teaching me about you, through the duplex in particular, it was definitely a glimpse into just His God-given talents that He's given you that I had never seen before. I mean, I had said multiple times, and this was not in a loving way, of, I didn't realize I married this.
Yeah.
And you were, I mean, your response was always,
I would say, I didn't know either. Like, I didn't know I was like this.
Exactly.
I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I had no idea.
Right. Neither of us did. So yeah, He was teaching me a lot about you, but also being your encourager and your supporter through it, even though it rubbed and hit every button in me. But in that, He was teaching me about myself and about some of the idols that I was placing on control and being paralyzed by not wanting to make a mistake. You give the perfect analogy of that, of how different we are. The sports analogy, of course. About
throwing an interception?
Yes.
Yeah, so I remember telling you this during the flip, because things were bad, like pretty bad at different times. And I would say, Hannah, we have not lost the game. Like, the game's not over. Yes, we threw an interception. That's not good. You know, maybe we're down 21-0 at halftime.
But we don't give up. We didn't lose the game.
We still have another half. So, like, are you going to walk off the field?
Yes.
Or are we going to finish the game? We can still pull this off. Because it did feel like we're down 21-0 at halftime, and I'd thrown 3 or 4 interceptions.
You know, of just the things that He was working on in us, in both of us, just to kind of learn each other a bit. It's a really cool thing to see your spouse really thrive in their God-given abilities and talents.
So we were ready, I think, again, totally different places, but ready to continue moving down this path. I think you wanted another break. I did not.
I want another break, or at least another duplex.
Yeah, you really want another duplex.
All right, we did the flip thing. Okay, I got a hold of that, but then the duplex. Okay, all right, like that worked. Let's I guess do another duplex.
Yeah,
but,
like that was good. So let's do that again.
That's not how it goes.
No, I didn't. That's not what I was feeling. I was already, you know, in an apartment focus group through the Cincinnati area. You know, the gears were turning, and I was already kind of underwriting some bigger properties. So that'll be the next episode. We'll talk about how we did end up getting into slightly bigger multifamily properties and taking on more risk and more adventures. We'll talk about that next time.
More ahead.